My name's Amber and I work as a stripper, pole and burlesque artist and a comedian. So in my talk I'm speaking about the question, can you be a stripper and a feminist? And well, spoiler alert, yes, otherwise I wouldn't be doing what I do. I just think it's really important in this industry to create like a safe space for us to do our jobs in, and that's usually the critical point. Like, how can we make it possible to do our jobs in a safe environment with consent and respect? So it's about demanding that respect from people that maybe aren't used to respecting women in that industry. And I'm in a very privileged position where I can walk away at any point, which I'm very aware that a lot of women aren't in that same position, and so I'm trying to use my position to tell people no that need to hear no sometimes, and yeah, just trying to create a space where, well, the ideal world can exist, where sex work is something where we're fulfilling someone's need on our own terms. I read this horrible book about sex industry in Switzerland yesterday, and it was very dark. It's called Piff Puff Puff. It's by a journalist who interviewed sex workers for a very long time. And it gets very dark and it's very heartbreaking, and it left me wondering, is there any woman who does sell sex and actually likes it? Or are we just living in an illusion? Because I'm personally navigating through a field of sex work that's very different from actually selling sex, because I'm never in a position that's that vulnerable. I'm usually in a position where I am in control, and I work in clubs that provide safety for me. And I'm just very careful to not tell people, look, sex work, it's all rainbows and unicorns, because it is very dark. It has very dark corners, and I'm trying to acknowledge that. But at the same time, I don't have a solution for it. I don't have a solution for how we can stop sex trafficking, how we can get women out that hate this job. I can just speak for the whole stripping part, where I do think it's very beautiful. It can be very beautiful. And in a way, I think maybe it is the ideal world where we're not giving up control when we're interacting with a client, where we're just inviting them to experience lust, joy, adventure, without having to act out of it. I'm not trying to be creative or stay creative. Like, why would you want to do that anyway? I think it's just something that you are, and it's gonna try and find a way to get out. It's like, for me, it's like a life force that's just there, and if it can't take that channel, it's gonna find another channel. I often get very inspired about costumes and ideas when I'm posing for life drawing classes for some reason, because you're just standing or sitting or lying still, and everyone around you is creating, and I think it maybe produces this field of creative energy, and you have nothing to do besides just meditating maybe, or like being with your thoughts. So often I get a lot of ideas in those moments. 5 years ago I broke a toe giving someone a lap dance and I couldn't go to work because I couldn't put on high heels for 4 weeks. So I was desperately looking for something to do on a Friday night. All I could find that day was a comedy show, so I went there and I really liked it. And after the show, I did my thing where I'm hustling, and I went to the producer and said, you know what your show needs? Titties. And that's how we started producing one of my events that's still going, actually, where we combine comedy and burlesque. And that's kind of how I found into the whole comedy world and became friends with comedians, because also being one of the only strippers in Basel, because we don't really have strip clubs here, made me a bit lonely. And I found out that comedians are like the next best thing to strippers because we're all entertainers and performers, and I just felt like these are my people. You got this. I think that's one of the things that I tell myself a lot when it gets really tough physically as well, when I'm very tired, when it's painful. And it just gets me through things where I'm like, you just have to keep going. You're like a locomotive and you just keep moving. You got this. Like, just telling myself that I'm strong, that yeah, I can do it.